little bit about the House Speaker, this Christian nutcase, Mike Johnson, who had his first press conference this morning. And I watched a bit of it on my iPad. I was moving around the apartment, so I didn't have a lot of time to just sit down and listen to this crazy bastard. But what I heard was very disturbing. This guy is out of his fucking mind. He really is. He is a Christian nutcase who is going to do everything he can to force his Christian nutcase agenda onto not just us, but various people and countries around the earth. He's just going to do it. That's what his beast-like God, the one that will kill children unless there's blood over the door jamb, has ordered him to do. His wife, Kelly Johnson. Hey, Kelly. A little bit of info about her, because this will factor into his behavior, his attitudes, his so-called leadership in the House. But Kelly ran a Christian counseling service that is affiliated with an organization that advocates against abortion and homosexuality, and whose practices are built on the teachings of the Greek physician Hippocrates. Now, it's not clear, according to the news source that I got this from, Yahoo News, it's not clear if Miss Kelly Johnson is continuing her practice now that her old man has become third in line to be president of the United States. Right after this crazy bastard Mike Johnson became House Speaker, Kelly's website became inaccessible. Yeah, well, there's too much shit there that Mike Johnson doesn't want anyone to know. I mean, these are insane people. Anybody who dedicates himself to a bloody mythology, a twisted bloody mythology, that decides who will live and who will die, who will go to hell and who will go to heaven. And if you become elected Speaker of the House, you don't want people to know that your old lady practices that shit. Hence, Kelly's website became inaccessible. Now, she has, apparently she has training from an organization founded in the 1980s by another Christian nutcase couple, and it's called Temperament Counseling. According to this organization, where she got her certification, the National Christian Counselors Association, that's the umbrella under which Kelly does her twisted bullshit, but it's adamant that its offerings take place outside of more traditional state-licensed settings. They don't want the state involved in this at all. You know, those prying eyes and what the fuck are you telling people? And, you know, why are you saying this and what's that about? No. We don't believe in licensing. No, we go by the Bible. And that way the so-called counselors and the poor bastards that go see these people can be fully engaged through their mythological Christian demonic horse crap. Okay? Now, God, I don't believe I'm talking about this. This temperament-based approach that Kelly and her screwball husband are involved in, it breaks people down into 5 types. You ready? This is so fucking ancient, it's almost prehistoric. But there are 5 types. There are the melancholy types, the choleric types, sanguine types, supine types, and phlegmatic types. Which one are you, gentle listener? I think I'm more of a hysteric. And you notice hysteria isn't in there. A couple, Richard and Phyllis Arno, established a test to identify which of these 5 categories you would fit into. And they also founded the National Christian Counselors Association in the early 1980s. And this couple and their advocates prefer the term temperament over personality type. They want temperament type instead of personality type. And because the term personality, according to these nutcases, is characterized as a mask, something we hide behind, while temperament is inborn. And since it's inborn, it is therefore inherent to each individual, regardless of outside influences such as parenting. So if you were beaten every day of your life and raped by your father and a couple of uncles, that's immaterial. You are either phlegmatic or sanguine or choleric or melancholy or supine. There you go. Huh? Now, this whole theory is based on Hippocratic ideas. You know, going back to ancient Greece, for Christ's sake, that there were 4 temperaments. Well, they now have 5. I don't know who added the 5th one and why the 5th one was added. And I don't know what the original 4 was. I didn't have time to look up the philosophies of Hippocrates from, 3,000 years ago. Some of this came from Tim LaHaye. Do you remember that name from the 80s and 90s? He was the sick fucker who wrote the series along with other people. I think he wrote the series called the Left Behind series. It was a bunch of apocalyptic bullshit in a series of novels put out by this guy. And he got very wealthy. But the Arnos, remember that couple? They're the ones who started this traditional, or not traditional, but this Christian counseling crap that is not based in anything except mythological horse crap that has nothing to do with reality. But that couple, the Arnos, said that Tim LaHaye was one of their, one of the people they looked to when they set this up. Now, LaHaye, of course, was vehemently opposed to LGBTQ people. He wrote an entire book on why he believed gay people were depressed because homosexuality was immoral and antithetical to the Bible. Yeah, LaHaye, no, gay people are not depressed because of weird fucks like you who make their lives miserable. How could that be, right? And according to the New York Times, LaHaye's anti-Catholic and anti-Semitic writings. Now, I want you to remember this because this guy, Mike Johnson, is an anti-Semite. He's anti-everything except Christian fundamentalist horseshit. That he's very much in favor of. But Mike Johnson is a Jew hater, a Muslim hater, a man who hates gays because he's dealing with some unresolved issues of his own, I would speculate. In other words, he's totally fucked up, but he's now the Speaker of the U.S. House. LaHaye, back to Tim LaHaye. According to the New York Times, LaHaye's anti-Catholic and anti-Semitic shit led him to step down from an honorary position where he was leading Congressman Jack Kemp's GOP primary campaign back in 1988. Remember him, Jack Kemp? And Tim LaHaye later pushed George W. Bush's election in 2000. And then he worked with then Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, whose fucked up daughter is now the governor of Arkansas, in the 2008 presidential primaries. And Tim LaHaye became enormously wealthy after he wrote that series of apocalyptic novels about us poor fuckers who were going to be left behind because we hadn't eaten the flesh of a corpse and drunk the blood of the corpse and got all washed and slathered up in the blood of something. And I mean, this is crazy shit, okay? It's just by Kelly Johnson. the wife of the new Speaker of the House. And and in the testing to decide what your temperament really is. Are you phlegmatic? Are you melancholic? Are you an asshole? Using this approach, the counselors, and Kelly Johnson's one of them. This is probably, what I'm going to tell you next, is probably why her website became inaccessible. Yes! Exes, demons, they're all over the place. For Christ's sake, figuratively speaking, what kind of shit is this? But this is the wife of the Speaker of the House. And it also, since he is welded as well as wedded to his wife, he also believes in the idea of driving demons out when you go into this kind of temperament therapy. And using that approach of driving out demons, you see, driving out demons, that makes sure that the person who just had the demons driven out, I guess, quote, is better able to receive and act upon godly counsel, including recommendations from and then they make reference to this counseling overview. They call it APS. Well, just one more thing to screw up your evening, I guess. So Kelly Johnson practices a form of what she considers to be therapy. And I looked at her educational background. She has many academic credentials, and if you look up these so-called institutions of higher learning where she got her degrees and her certificates and so on and so forth, you will find that every one of them is some weird goddamn place that you never heard of. Very few people have heard of. Some of them are online, but they teach driving out demons. That's what we need. This is insane. This is total batshit. You know it is, and I know it is. You don't have to be an atheist to think that there's a form of therapy that drives out demons, and it's valid. Come on. Oh, my God. I got to pause and drink some coffee. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.